Now, in case you're just joining us, you have missed part, but not all of the show. We just talked about the sad killing of Alika Ogochukwu, and thanks to NICOM, some steps have been taken to compensate his family, and hopefully this does not happen again. Now, to our next story. At the end of the day, they say politics does not have permanent enemies, just permanent desires and interests. Now, this next story is a very interesting one, with, of course, interesting twists and turns. Come August 9, 2022, 21.1 million Kenyans in the country will elect all of their representatives, from the President of the Republic to county assemblies to MPs, senators, as well as governors. The candidates have left no stone unturned, of course, in their efforts to win as many votes as possible. Now, there have been convoys spouting music and slogans with giant portraits along the streets, people campaigning for their favorite, people, singing and shouting, while the candidates struggle to rouse voters from a certain apathy. We have more details on this report. Let's take a look.
Kenya's election candidates are leaving no stone unturned in their fight for votes. In addition to traditional election convoys, blasting slogans and giant posters plastered along roads, candidates have looked for ingenious ways to excite weary voters. On August 9, 22.1 million Kenyans will elect hundreds of representatives, including senators, governors, MPs, and the East African nation's next president.
We lock the door with this seal, and you can see the seal has an IBC serial number.
Meanwhile, William Ruto has also been busy with his campaigns. He says that people have a trust in him and he's absolutely sure he can deliver.
We have developed a plan, we have sold it to the people of Kenya, and because of my track record, they believe that I can deliver on that plan. And that plan is a plan around what we can do to get the 5 million or so young people out of school and out of college, to get them something to do in terms of jobs, opportunities, business.
Regarding the polls, Raila Odinga had this to say. Diplomats and foreign observers say a peaceful transfer of power remains uncertain, and that Kenya's coveted reputation as a reliable and stable partner faces a keen test as voters head to polling booths.
Ruto for us is hope. The most important thing is selling that hope to Kenyans. Many of us have lost hope.
It is important to vote because you solve the disagreement, and it shows that you have made a choice, and my vote will count and the others will count.
As Kenyatta leaves office after almost a decade, Kenya's allies are anxiously wondering what is next for a country that has evolved into a trusted ally and democratic anchor in a troubled region. Blessings Bosugu, reporting for News Central.
All right, now joining us now on Report Desk Africa is East African correspondent or East African reporter Kennedy Murithi. Kennedy, I believe I'll be right to say habari. That's hello in Swahili, I believe.
Yes, it is. Habari kwenu pia.
Hello, Kennedy. Pay no mind to Bernard. Bernard only knows the first word of every language, and then they can't continue.
I also know, I know Hakuna Matata.
That's all.
Oh, Hakuna Matata is also good.
Exactly.
Thank you for joining us, Kennedy.
Thank you for joining us, Kennedy. Now, Kennedy, we don't have so much time. I think we have about 10, 12 minutes. But let's quickly unpack the elections as as we get closer. Now, from cleaning up of toilets to chopping of vegetables, candidates are leaving no stone unturned, as it seems, to woo the voters, and the elections in Kenya are drawing nearer. Some have even said that these are outdated public stunts that we've seen in different parts of Africa. And some are saying that this may not exactly influence the voters. What exactly do you think? How do the voters feel? And are they impressed by these stunts that the politicians are pulling?
Well, I'll tell you something very interesting with the Kenyan election and actually with the Kenyan context is that despite the fact that these people say that these antiques don't work, they do work here every time they are pulled off. Remember, here in Kenya, it is like people have an amnesia every time the elections happen. And within the 5 years, they forget that what these people had promised to do, they didn't do. And when they come to ask for votes from them again, they actually go to the same antiques that they have been used. This election that we are having here in Kenya is coming at a time when there is no money. And most of the people want something in their pocket. Now, when the politician comes with their money bags, it becomes something very easy for them to sway the people who are supposed to be voting for them. And it becomes very easy to convince them with the monies that they have probably taken from them. So it becomes very easy for one to be convinced by money or from those antiques where they are just cutting, kills or mamamboga, as they call them, and all these antiques that politicians come with, even with the choppers. Those are the things that are exciting the people, the common man that is supposed to vote in the election.
Okay, now from the look of things, Kennedy, it seems like William Ruto seems to have won the heart of farmers in that country, especially those in Kosatio residents who are hopeful that he would win on the backdrop of ensuring food security. We don't know if this is because of his track record or this is just them being hopeful, but do you think that this could be a significant addition to his advantage? Can you walk us through that? And also, is this because of a track record? Is this something he has done before? Or the farmers are just, playing a pain or praying that he's, going to come through in that area?
Well, one thing that I will tell you is that I am a political reporter who has covered both sides. And that statement that you're saying that he's probably won the hearts of farmers might not be entirely true. Both sides are giving promises that aim at uplifting the lives of these farmers. Probably even in the Azimio One Kenya group, where Raila Odinga is the head and the presidential candidate, he is promising to bring down the price of fertilizer from the current 6,500 shillings to 2,000. William Ruto, on the other hand, is promising to bring down the cost of fertilizer from 6,500 to 2,500. Both of them are looking at the farmers, noting that Kenya is largely an agricultural country. Also, on the question of whether he has a track record on that point, is that William Ruto was also the Minister for Agriculture in the government of President Mwai Kibaki, and he believes that during that time and during his tenure, he played a big role in making sure that farmers in across the country got what they deserve. William Ruto comes from a largely agricultural area, and that is the Rift Valley area where most of the maize that is consumed in this country comes from. So basically, when people say that he has a track record on that particular side, they believe that his track record, when he came into the ministry, might play a key role. But also Raila Odinga says that most of the Kenyans here, be it from the Rift Valley, be it from central Kenya, be it from the mountainous region, they all are agricultural and they come from the bread basket. So the farmers are a key people in this particular election. But even as I inform you more, the most important issues in this particular election, the Kenyan election, is the economy and corruption.
Economy and corruption. Those are two words that, always show up in the same sentence, or in some cases, they never do. Now, there's something interesting about Kenya's election that's forthcoming, and it's something that we don't see a lot in African countries, as a matter of fact, around the world. Now, we are seeing that this year, the incumbent president, that's Uhuru Kenyatta, is rooting for his longtime rival, talking about Raila Odinga, rather than rooting for his deputy president, that's a William Ruto. And now we're looking in some areas, particularly in the Kikuyu area, where there's a lot of eyeballs looking in there when it comes to election and voting. Some have called it the vote-rich area. Do you think this, this kind of drama that's about to play out is going to affect the way voting will be cast in that area? The president is rooting for his opponent or a long-time rival rather than rooting for his deputy who is vying for the seat.
Well, one of the things that I will tell you is that the Kenyan election every time has surprises. And there are no people who have gone into a second election as friends. It only happened between Raila Odinga and a Wiper party leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, who paired in 2013 and also paired in 2017. The same also happened for President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy, William Ruto. However, we have gotten information that even in the dying times of the first term, that is between 2013 and 2017, of the Uhuru and Ruto government, there were already signs that they were going to break up. So going to your question specifically, the mountain region where Kikuyus are part of it, it controls a vote area of about 5.8 million people, that is registered voters going per what the IEBC has put out. Now, this 5.8 million people is up for grabs now that President Uhuru Kenyatta is leaving the stage, and both Raila Odinga and William Ruto have chosen deputies from that particular area. For Deputy President William Ruto, he has chosen Rigathi Gachagua, a first-time member of parliament who represents a constituency in Nyeri County called Mathira. Well, on the other hand, the Raila Odinga has picked a fighter that we might call Hasso, who has been in the trenches since the olden times, since the second president, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, in the name of Martha Karua. And in her push, they believe that these are two people who have been liberating this country into that particular push. So President Uhuru Kenyatta, even as we move out of his term, does not control 100% of the mountain region as it had been expected. During their tenure between him and his deputy William Ruto took that advantage and went deep into Mount Kenya, into the Kikuyu community, into the Meru community, into the Tharaka Nithi community, and into the Embu community. These are communities that make up the Mount Kenya region. And so deep is the deputy president that all opinion polls are placing him at over 60% support in that particular region. So we cannot say that President Uhuru Kenyatta will control where the people are going to vote, mostly those that are coming from Mount Kenya. But that region also, he has, in his support to Raila Odinga, has moved the support base, according to the opinion polls, from 4%, what he has been getting over time, to over 22% support in the region of Mount Kenya. What this basically means is that Raila might get a considerable amount of vote from that particular region, from that particular area, noting that they are seeking to deny Deputy President William Ruto the overwhelming support they got within the Jubilee government, that is between 2013 and now, because if he does not get 80% of the vote from that particular Mount Kenya region, then he might as well kiss the election goodbye.
All right, now, Kennedy, let's look at this from another perspective. This is politics we're talking about. And if there is anything that is common in the present African politics, it's the youth interest in politics, the youth participation coming out in numbers to protest, to vote. And they've had to endure maladministration, especially in Africa. We've seen that in so many African countries. But in Kenya, the youth have shown disinterest in participating in this electoral process that, seems to be very interesting. The whole world is probably interested in this election, but it seems like the youth are actually just lackadaisical about it. How would you rate the youth participation in the coming election so far?
Well, that's a very good question, and that is an informed question. Probably one of the things that you need to know is that the youth make up 70% of the populace here in Kenya. However, only 35% have registered as voters, and that is our very worrying trend. But to some, that is including the incumbent President Uhuru Kenyatta and his team of Azimio One Kenya that brings together Raila Odinga, then this does not bother them much, because the person who has been running on the youth ticket is their main challenger, and that is Deputy President William Ruto, who has been banking on the youth. He has been banking on the unemployed in this country, noting that he will be very keen to bring in employment to most people in this country. However, when they make up 70% of the populace and yet only 35% have registered, then there is trouble. The youth are not very interested in the politics of this country, noting that every time that they have voted, their vote has never counted, as they will be bringing in the same people that have controlled this country since independence. One of the persons in these elections and who has been cleared as a presidential candidate, who has resonated with the youth, is a man called Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya, a 63-year-old man who is making the antics of the youth and actually walking and talking their language. More so, he is speaking about legalizing bang in this country and snake venom harvesting, as well as harvesting some other things that I cannot say on air from hyenas.
Yes.
However, even in his push for the youth, he seems not to be very keen to going the whole way, as a viral video of him endorsing Raila Odinga has surfaced, yet his team is making sure that they want to deny that particular chance. But we have seen that particular video of him endorsing Raila Odinga in a club in Kisumu.
Well, Kennedy, thank you so much. We would have loved to go on further, but because of time, obviously, we have to stop here. Just to let our viewers know that Kennedy is also going to be on the ground in Kenya, and he'll be reporting and giving us feedback here in News Central Studios. And News Central is definitely going to be bringing you clips, back-to-back information of the Kenyan elections come Tuesday, 9th of August. That's next week, Tuesday. Once again, Kennedy, thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing you on Tuesday.
Thank you so much, Kennedy.
Every time you need me, I'll be here.
All right.
Oh, that's good to know. You know, Bernard, when I say this election is actually very interesting, it is interesting. We have interesting candidates, interesting campaigns. We've seen several times where some candidates didn't turn out. We've seen, you know, one candidate endorsing something that shouldn't be endorsed and endorsing another candidate, and then one supporting his former, you know, it's just a lot of back and forth. It really is interesting.
Yes, it is. We'll be going on a very, very short break. When we come back now, we'll be bringing you the forecast segment. It's the part where we call Crystal Ball. We look in there and see what some of the stories that may be making headlines next week would be. And of course, we have Adeshewa Odushoga waiting on the other side of the studio. Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining, this is the home stretch of the show. And now we're going to the forecast segment. We have Adeshewa Odushoga. Shewa, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, Bernard.
You look really bright. I like
Thank you.
Well, and by the way, Shewa is doubling as the anchor on forecast segment and the producer for the show.
A round of applause.
Thank you. And then on the forecast for next week, topping the list is Nigeria's broadcast regulator issuing a fine to 4 broadcast stations for airing a banditry report of gangs in the northwestern region of the country. Now, the National Broadcast Commission says the documentary glorified the activities of bandits and undermines national security. Now, they have until the 30th of August to pay a fine of 5 million naira. And moving on, in South Africa, what has been referred as one of the worst crime in history, South African police have arrested 130 people linked to a gang rape at an abandoned mine in Gauteng province. The victims were said to have been attacked. That's a group of girls who are victims of the rape were said to have been attacked while filming a music video. Now, forensic evidence is still being checked and no rape charges have been brought yet. Lastly, on the list, we have that Congo has expelled the UN peacekeeping mission spokesman. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo expelled him, blaming him for stoking tensions that led to the deadly protests. 36 people, including UN peacekeepers, have been killed last week, and hundreds of protesters vandalized and set ablaze the mission's buildings in several cities in the country's east. And now that's all on the focus session that we have for you next week. These are the stories that we'll be tracking for you on News Central TV. It's back to you, Bernard, and blessings.
All right, thank you so much, Adeshewa.
Thank you so much, Shewa.
It's been a fantastic show, and we owe a lot of this credit to you. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you too.
All right, there it is.
Yeah, just before we go, one story that we'll be clearly looking at is the one going on in DR Congo. There's been a lot of unrest there, particularly this issue of the UN peacekeepers and the citizens there. It's quite sad. The UN peacekeepers, to me, growing up, used to be like the Avengers, like we see on TV, because
I mean, peacekeepers,
exactly.
It says in the name. But anyways, we look forward to seeing how it all unfolds. Thank you so much for joining us on Report Desk Africa today. It's been an amazing session, and we couldn't have done it without you watching. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Bernard Akede. Thank you so much. We hope to have you again, same station, same time next week.
My name is Blessings Masugu. See you again next week.